So let me tell you something about Allegro, the marketplace that I work for. So obviously, this presentation will cover Allegro, but not only because I work for this company, but also because the e-commerce landscape in Central and Eastern Europe, particularly in Poland, is quite unique and it's different compared to Western European countries. So we are going to talk about first briefly e-commerce in Central and Eastern Europe so that you have a bit of an introduction into the context, especially to Poland, which is the main country that I will be focused on today. And speaking about Poland wouldn't be possible without speaking about Polish online buyers, because for merchants, obviously, they need to know how to access the market through the buyers. And the biggest chunk of my presentation will be focused on those marketplace opportunities. So I will try to guide you through those opportunities and show you how a well-established, preferably local marketplace can help you facilitate your international expansion. So without further ado, few words about e-commerce in Central and Eastern Europe. First of all, in 2021, we've noticed an overall growth in B2C turnover across the whole Europe. And of course, it wouldn't be possible to talk about it without mentioning COVID, because the pandemic simply moved both businesses and consumers online. Consumers, many of whom didn't use online shopping before, had a chance to notice the utility and the convenience of e-commerce. So this obviously presented a very promising opportunity for the sector. It's not a big surprise to say and to notice actually that Western Europe takes the biggest share of European e-commerce turnover. Central and Eastern Europe, this part accounts for 12% of European e-commerce turnover. And some might say, okay, so what's so impressive about this part if it's just 12%? Well, first of all, Western European markets are much more saturated, so it's more difficult to expand to them in this sense, whereas Eastern Europe alone has experienced higher growth rates in B2C e-commerce sales than many of those Western European countries, meaning that this part of Europe will probably continue to fuel the growth of the e-commerce across the whole continent. That's why it's definitely worth having a look at the countries in this region. And like I said at the beginning, the main country that I would like to focus on today would be Poland. So first, a few words about this country. Poland's got around 38 million inhabitants and approximately 30 million are internet users. Out of those, 77% shop online. It's already quite interesting looking purely at those numbers, but what I would like to show you today is the forecast done by Strategy and PwC regarding the growth of the Polish e-commerce market. So take a look at this chart. This chart presents this forecast in the Polish currency, Polish zlotys. And what we can see here is a huge jump between 2021 and forecasted 2027 data, basically doubling the value of the whole e-commerce market. And this is down to many reasons. First and foremost, location. Poland is really nicely located. It works a bit like a connector between Western Europe and Central and Eastern Europe. It also serves as Europe's hub for both IT and logistics services, which makes this country really a perfect entry point to this whole region, with the digital landscape developing very fast and consumer incomes growing also at a very impressive pace. But if you want to conquer Poland, obviously you need to know how to approach Polish online buyers. So I'll tell you a bit about them. What you can see here is a bit of a demographic data regarding Polish online buyers. In terms of gender, there's a pretty even split between men and women, and the biggest age group is between 35 and 49 years old. As you can see, the majority of Polish online buyers are educated, with as many as 40% having higher education. The majority of them live in bigger towns or really big cities. But that's not all, because actually during the pandemic, we've noticed the appearance of another interesting group of consumers, and that is so-called silver generation. That means the age group above 55. During the pandemic, the interest in online shopping for those older age groups increased by 12%, with many of them claiming to use social media, and the vast majority, over 90%, confirming that they use electronic banking on a daily basis, meaning that they are ready to become proper e-shoppers. So if you want to expand to Poland, pay attention to the data that I showed you regarding the majority of online buyers, but also keep in mind this silver generation, as that might be your next target group as well. In terms of finances, like I said earlier, the wages are generally increasing, and the recent governmental data shows that the yearly median income in Poland turns out to actually be the highest in the Central Eastern region, which means that an average Pole has much more disposable income, and consumers here are much more willing to spend money on high quality goods, with as many as 93% describing their financial situation as either average or good. Of course, again, COVID impacted that situation here. Many consumers shop online much more often than they used to. They also buy more products online, or they started shopping for products that they didn't used to buy online before. Basically, they discovered that they don't need to queue, they don't need to go to physical stores. They can get everything online. And what's very interesting for me is the last part of the orange chart here that shows that for as many as 13% of online buyers, online shopping has become the default mode of shopping. And if the consumers are asked, why is that so? They mention three main reasons for moving purchases online. And that is the fact that online shops are always available. They are open basically 24/7. It's much faster to get what they want. And it's usually cheaper because they can monitor different deals across different platforms or from different sellers and choose whatever suits them best. Now I would like to show you two very interesting trends that are typical for Polish e-commerce. What you can see here comes also from the study by Strategy and PwC. And according to that, marketplace share in 2021 was at around 45%, but it is forecasted to actually exceed 55% in 2027. What that effectively means is that e-commerce platforms and marketplaces are becoming much more popular in Poland. But that's not all. What's even more interesting is the fact that as many as 75% of Polish consumers tend to buy from domestic e-shops, and only 32% buy from foreign ones. That means that, first of all, sellers who want to expand to Poland need to localize well, because Polish online buyers expect the content to be in Polish. But what's even more interesting is the fact that expansion through some trusted brands or already established on the Polish market might be much more beneficial, because Polish online shoppers believe in those trusted brands, the companies that make them feel confident, safe, and they tend to buy from such companies. And that takes us to this main part of our today's presentation, and that is how marketplaces, and how in this case Allegro, can help you answer your questions regarding expansion to Central and Eastern Europe, particularly to Poland, And as a starting point, let's maybe take a look at a few groups of characteristics that I would like to go through with you. So we are going to touch upon topics such as categories and reach, customer base, barriers of entry, infrastructure and partnerships, as well as support and tools that are offered by marketplaces. Before we jump right into that, let's maybe make sure that everyone's on the same page so that we can all distinguish two main types of marketplaces. First of all, vertical marketplaces. These are marketplaces that aim at a single market sector. They focus on a specific category of products and on a targeted audience. And a very typical example would be the fashion marketplace Zalando. There are also horizontal marketplaces, and they sell various categories of products in one place, targeting a big group of customers, offering different products under one roof. And examples include Amazon or, of course, Allegro. So, having that said, let's move on to describing those opportunities from those 5 categories that I showed you here. This slide is based on this year's study by Gregorczyk, and it shows spontaneous recognizability of e-commerce platforms in Poland. What this basically says is that Polish online buyers who were approached by researchers and asked to spontaneously name an e-commerce brand in Poland, named these accordingly. As many as 85% picked Allegro in the first place. The second place belongs to OLX. This is another Polish player, C2C, but also a Polish one. And only later on, we've got Zalando, Amazon, and AliExpress. And all that is very much consistent with what I showed you earlier. So this trend showing that Polish online buyers are more likely to shop from domestic e-shops. Having that said, let's take a look at where Poles make their purchases. What's really interesting is that 30% of online buyers start their product search on Allegro compared to only 18% who start on Google. That means that actually in Poland, Allegro, in terms of product search, is more popular than Google. What's interesting is the conversion here, though. So let me show you where these guys end up buying their products. What you can see here means basically that nearly every third Polish online buyer starts their product search directly on Allegro, and almost all of them end up buying products on the marketplace. We're talking about 91%. Out of those who started on Google, more than a half, 57%, still go to Allegro to finalize their purchase. And that effectively means that as a seller, you are more likely to reach Polish online buyers through Allegro than through any other media in the country. And why is that so? Because buyers can browse through 250 million offers coming from over 135,000 sellers. That attracts a traffic of 22 million page views only in Poland. And regular buyers through Allegro addicts, that's actually 13.8 million active buyers that we've got on the platform, making Allegro the most popular shopping platform in Poland. And what's really interesting, even though it's a local marketplace, it's the largest e-commerce platform of European origin. But I'm talking about Poland. However, we were supposed to also mention some opportunities in other Central and Eastern European countries. So let me tell you briefly about international expansion of the Allegro Group. As a company, we started expanding internationally this year with 2 main projects. The first one is the acquisition of Mall Group, and we finalized on the 1st of April this year. Expanding the Allegro Group to 5 more countries, and that is the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Hungary, and Croatia. Right now, this merge is happening. The markets are being integrating, meaning that at the end of the process, sellers within one click will be able to access 6 countries within the region through the Allegro Group. The first country to roll out will be the Czech Republic, and the launch is planned for next year. The second part of international expansion is enabling international delivery to 24 EU countries, also launched in Q2 this year. This means that right now, both Polish and international merchants can offer their products to an EU-wide audience through an international Allegro domain. That expands the opportunities that the platform can offer to sellers. In terms of barriers of entry, I mentioned that at the beginning before I started my presentation. Allegro is an open marketplace. We welcome companies of all sizes, coming from all over the world and selling across all 14 product categories that we've got, meaning that a seller can register an account using their international VAT number without any problem. There are no registration fees, so joining the platform is free of charge, it doesn't cost anything, and there are no listing fees in most categories. There are just a few categories that have listing fees, but frankly speaking, international merchants don't really tend to list offers in those categories. So from my practical, personal and professional experience, it's absolutely not relevant. International sellers usually do not pay any listing fees, and they can list products freely, as many as they want, through 4 different methods, either manually through the Allegro backend, through CSV files, direct API connection. Our API is open, you can access the documentation, and if you've got the resources, you can connect directly, or you can outsource it and connect through a third-party integrator of your choice. Then, at some point, a seller needs to be charged. So let me tell you when. Actually, when they start selling their products, because the marketplace is based on commission fees, on success fees. So you only start paying when you really sell your products. And what's very interesting and very encouraging for international sellers is the fact that the marketplace offers a very attractive welcome program for new joiners. And benefits might differ and they might change from one month to another, but they can, for instance, mean huge discounts on the commission fees in the very first few months on the platform, or free promo tools to increase visibility of offers, or free access to selected Allegro tools so that merchants can test them and decide what works best for them, meaning that they can have a strong start, they can build their presence on the market, and they don't need to spend that much money on that at the very beginning of their journey. Our marketplace gives sellers flexibility when it comes to setting up the delivery model. Merchants can decide whether they dispatch their products from Poland, using their own warehouses if they have them, using third-party fulfillment solutions, or perhaps using Allegro One fulfillment that we launched also this year. If they want to take advantage of this international expansion project, of this international delivery, they can utilize our contracts with DPD, shipping from Poland, with competitive costs. But obviously, many international sellers would probably want to ship from wherever they are based. It's also absolutely fine to do that. They can decide to ship from abroad using their own warehouses or third-party fulfillment solutions. And if they want to ship to other countries, countries other than Poland, they can utilize their own contracts with courier companies to deliver to those selected countries. Meaning that Allegro is a true marketplace. It provides space to do business, but you as a seller, you are in charge of your delivery and you decide how you want to set it up. We as a marketplace, we will not force you to do anything. But what we would like you to be fully aware of is how the delivery time impacts your chance to succeed on a marketplace. So what we did take a look at how international sellers particularly are doing on our platform, and we monitored the customer behavior. Basically, what we wanted to check what happens if a customer adds a product to their cart and then notices how long the delivery time is. It turned out that if the delivery time is within 48 hours, the probability of sales is at around 50%, which is pretty much normal across all platforms. However, if the delivery time was relatively longer, that is, let's say up to 7 days, the chances to sell across all product categories drop drastically down to approximately 20%, meaning that fast delivery is a key to success. That's why we want you to be fully aware of how it works so that you can make a very well-informed decision. And on top of that, marketplaces such as ours comes with different programs that you can utilize for your success. One of them is our Allegro Smart program, which basically means free delivery and free returns for buyers. Buyers pay a yearly subscription and they can enjoy those benefits. It's available if you, as a seller, ship from Poland using multiple delivery methods, or from Germany, France, the Netherlands, and the Czech Republic, either with DHL, DPD, or UPS. Why is that good to know, and why is that worth checking? Because smart offers are shown high on the listing, which means that organically your visibility is greater. And we've noticed actually that smart offers are 2.5 times more popular than regular offers. So even if you're not able to ship within 48 hours, I would recommend how to become Allegro Smart to take advantage of those benefits. And then let's say you would like to provide really fast delivery, but you don't have a warehouse in Poland. Obviously, you can utilize the infrastructure that the marketplace provides. In our case, it's the Allegro One Fulfillment, which means handling orders 24/7, different delivery methods, customer service related to orders, so basically post-sales customer service. And that effectively means that you can offer same or next day delivery to your buyers, and that you can enjoy higher sales quality score on a daily basis because you don't need to do that much of a customer service. For that, a very important point, and that's important across different countries, wherever you store your goods, you need to have the VAT number of the given country. And because Allegro One Fulfillment is in Poland, you need to have Polish VAT number to use such a service. This is an EU-wide regulation, and you should be aware of that to approach this product correctly. I also mentioned that I would like to tell you how marketplaces can support you. So on Allegro's example, you can rely on different support teams, onboarding and support teams that are available to all sellers on the platform. And if you're doing really well, you can get assigned a key account manager depending on your performance. Then I did mention that one of the challenges will be learning about new marketplace. So marketplaces usually come in very handy with educational resources. On Allegro, this means, for example, Allegro Academy. And that's a whole training platform with short interactive courses and live webinars for sellers to guide them through different topics on the marketplace. And there's also an Allegro Help Center full of articles on all sorts of topics if you really want to deep dive into them. But you might want to also find out more about sales statistics. For that, marketplaces have their own dedicated tools. On Allegro, it's called Allegro Analytics. It's based on real Allegro data. You can see, for example, how you're doing compared to your competition, or how the category is performing, so that you can really adjust the assortment, optimize prices, and increase sales. And last but not least, you might want to outsource certain services. I mentioned that you can decide what services you want to use. You don't need to rely on just the services that the marketplace provides, but you might not know where to start. So for that, we created a service provider network website where we list external service providers. These could be translation agencies, these could be integrators, or some logistic partners. You can treat this as a starting point to make a very well-informed decision about how you set up your whole business model on the marketplace. And that takes me to actually the closure of this presentation. So let me quickly summarize how marketplaces facilitate the expansion. What you've noticed on the previous slides is a large base of consumers. Marketplace is a platform that is already established. You've got the traffic that's already there. You've got the customer base full of users that already know the platform. They are willing to make another purchase. So it's much easier to expand through a marketplace that's already got this traffic on which otherwise you would need to work on your own. A well-established marketplace will help you overcome cross-border barriers of entry because the most important thing is the infrastructure. You don't need to build the whole platform. You don't need to implement payment solutions. You don't need to build a fulfillment center. If you want to use one, marketplaces usually come with such solutions. And remember that slide about Polish buyers preferring domestic e-shops and the spontaneous recognizability of the Allegro brand within Poland? Well, if you come to the market through such a well-established brand, it's much easier to enter. That all means a good testing ground for products. If it's easy to enter, if it's free to enter, and if you don't need to pay to list your products, you can list as many as you want. You can see how your offer is received. If it's received well, you can scale your business easily. Otherwise, this market testing does not generate such big costs because you don't need to invest in this whole infrastructure. You can access different customer groups. Like I said, Allegro is a horizontal marketplace which caters for needs of different buyers, so you can differentiate your customer groups. And last but not least, you don't need to do everything on your own. Marketplaces usually come with plenitude of support tools, with teams that support sellers, with educational resources, sales management tools, and all of that is usually free of charge, which makes it much easier to learn about the platform, to learn about the right approach, and to expand to this new market successfully. And that would be all from my side. I do hope that you found this presentation insightful. If you would like to find out more, you can use this QR code that you can see on the screen now and leave your contact details with me. And we will reach out to you to tell you more about marketplace opportunities on Allegro. Thank you very much for your attention.